What's up? It's your boy KC. Today is April 11th, my birthday. I'm definitely happy about that. I'm going to enjoy my day today. I think it's time that I finally have something to say about Wrestlemania, considering this week has just been really crazy. If you're a wrestling fan, with the untimely death of the Ultimate Warrior, God rest his soul. I did a tribute video on my own to him. And you guys should check it out on my YouTube channel, KC the Most. Subscribe to my channel because I could use the supporters. And thank you to the people who watch my videos. It's really crazy to sit here and think, to actually have to think and say that The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania. Something I thought I would never ever say. I always thought that The Undertaker would retire undefeated. And that's the best logical thing to do. And I've been reading a bunch of articles from SC Scoops, the wrestling site, that a lot of people didn't even know The Undertaker was going to lose. Even the referee didn't know that. Paul Heyman didn't know. Brock Lesnar didn't know. It was a decision that was made by Vincent Senile McMahon, as always, to try to get ratings, to try to get people talking. And he got people talking, but for the wrong reasons. I don't have nothing against Brock Lesnar. I thought Brock Lesnar was a good wrestler. He's a beast. But he doesn't deserve the streak. Nobody does. You know what I'm saying? What can he possibly gain from breaking the Undertaker's streak? He's a part-time wrestler. He's already had his chance in the spotlight as the champion. And he was already on top once before in the early 2000s. So why would you have him break the streak? I mean, that's kind of like an insult to hardcore wrestling fans that have been watching The Undertaker since 1990 when he first started the Undertaker gimmick. He should have went out on top. Why would he lose, in his final match, if this is even his final match? I believe it is, because, look, I can understand that The Undertaker is getting old. His body is getting broken down. He just can't go like he used to, and I can understand that. But I would have him just go out on top the way that he came in, because he was a main eventer when he came in there. A main eventer in the making. He was in the Survivor Series match on $1 Million Man's team versus the Hart Foundation. So that was already a main event caliber match. And to see him go out like this is just, it sucks. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for me as a wrestling fan, the streak was the only thing that we had left. If you grew up through the golden era of wrestling and the attitude era, that was the only thing we had left from that time, because everybody that we grew up watching is either dead or retired. Ultimate Warrior just died. Macho Man's gone. Mr. Perfect is gone. Earthquake is gone. John Studd is gone. Andre the Giant is gone. All those guys back then from the golden era, they're gone now. And then the Attitude Era, Stone Cold is retired. The Rock is on his way out. Triple H is on his way out. Shawn Michaels is retired. So we really don't have anything left from that era. And the streak was the only thing that lived through all of that. And for them to break that was just a really stupid decision. And it's something they can't take back. And I believe that they feel that that was a stupid decision, because now you took everything, like, when you think of WrestleMania, you think of The Undertaker. I wonder who Undertaker is going to fight this year. That's how it is. Undertaker's matches were like the cornerstone of WrestleMania. They were like the foundation. All the other matches were cool, but everybody wanted to see who The Undertaker was going to fight. That was the talk. He's the only guy that could come back a couple of months before WrestleMania, pick his next target, take his target out, and that was it. And there's a lot of fans who are like, oh, wrestling's fake. Yes, I'm aware of that. I know that. I'm not stupid. But just like the movies that you watch, those are fake, but you still get into it. The soap operas that you people watch, it's fake, but y'all get into it. Wrestling is my thing. Wrestling has a cult following of so many fans because it's something that we just love, something that we grew up on. And it just really sucks, for the Undertaker streak to end this way. On another note, congratulations to Daniel Bryan, because he finally got his moment. He's the champion. And I'm happy for the guy, because they screwed around with him too much. You know what I'm saying? There was plenty of times where they could have gave him the belt, but they just dragged the thing out forever. And he finally got his chance. Triple H saying that if he won, that he would be in the match. The thought of Triple H being the champion again makes me physically ill. That's the last thing that I wanted to see. And I knew he wasn't going to win, but still, just the thought of it made me sick. And for the people that actually thought that Triple H was going to end up being the champion, you guys are crazy. You guys obviously haven't been watching wrestling long enough to know the game. And it's just, I'm just happy that he won. The John Cena versus Bray Wyatt match. Do I have to really shit on this guy? Seriously, Bray Wyatt should have won that match. What did John Cena have to gain from beating this guy? I think it would have been better if you had Bray Wyatt get a win over John Cena to give him that rocket on his back, so to speak. But as always, John Cena always has to win. So tired of this guy, dude. Why did he need to win? He could have let that go. He could have let it go. He could have let Bray Wyatt win and have his moment at WrestleMania. But no, he had to lose. And that's a big mistake, and that was shitty. Cesaro winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royal was awesome. The way he picked up the Big Show and threw him over the top rope, that was crazy. I saw that. I forgot I was at work. I was out there banging on the freaking gates and stuff. I was like, yeah, that was awesome, man. But and then there was the match. Nobody really cared about the Divas match. I'm sorry, Divas, but nobody cared. There was just a match to make sure that y'all had a spot in WrestleMania. Then you had the Shield versus the New Age Outlaws and Kane, which I really wasn't too interested in that match to begin with. I was like, what's the purpose? You know what I'm saying? What's the purpose? The New Age Outlaws had their time at WrestleMania, and Kane had so many WrestleMania moments and ain't even funny. And then you had the match at the beginning of the night with Triple H and Daniel Bryan, which was a great match. From the parts that I saw, it was a great match. Overall, it wasn't a bad WrestleMania. The only thing that just sucked is that Undertaker lost. That's what really, for me, I was like, damn, that ruined my night. Like, I literally left all the wrestling groups on Facebook that I was in. I stopped watching wrestling for a little bit, man. The only reason why I watched Raw was to see the Ultimate Warrior. And that was just, man, like I said, that still throws me off that the man is gone. But I'm happy that he got his spot. He got to make peace with everybody. And he's in the Hall of Fame where he deserves to be. So that all the hate on the Ultimate Warrior, all the people that hate on him and said he couldn't wrestle and said that all this and that, y'all can go to hell. Because he got his spot. He got his chance to be in the spotlight one last time before he left this planet. And speaking of which, I want to talk about another legend here. A lot of people say that Ric Flair is the best wrestler of all time. Some people say that he's one of the best, and he is one of the best. But Ric Flair's the biggest dick I've ever seen, dude. Seriously, what makes him think that he could talk to people any which way he wants to talk to them? I followed his work, yes. Ric Flair, at a time in his life, he was one of the best. But it's just ridiculous. Like, the things that he says about people. Like, when he said to Mick Foley that he overstayed his welcome, when the man was talking about his career and his accolades and the things that he's done, Ric Flair said he overstayed his welcome. Who the hell are you to talk to anybody about overstaying your welcome? When you were supposed to retire, WWE gave you the biggest retirement party that any man could ever get, and what do? You go to TNA and you wrestle over there. That's not retiring. You want to say Mick Foley overstayed his welcome? And even before that, man, when you was talking about how Bret Hart used his brother's death as an excuse not to wrestle, Owen Hart was Bret Hart's brother, man. What you expecting to do? Say I don't care? I don't care that my brother was killed? When you called Mick Foley a glorified stuntman, all the things that you said about the Ultimate Warrior, about him being a flash in the pan, the things you said about Hogan, which are probably true, but still, You have no right to talk to anybody like that, man. Those guys put in their hard work just like you did, so get over yourself. And at any rate, it's your fault why JR doesn't even have a job anymore, because you decided to hijack a show that was supposed to promote the new WWE 2K14 video game, and instead of that, you start talking about stuff that had nothing to do with it. I understand that your son died. I'm not a cold-blooded man. I've never been. But there's a time and a place to talk about things like that. And he got drunk that night and he knew he was wrong. And JR was the one who had to suffer. He got fired because of that. And that's just bullshit, man. You would think by now that a man his age would have mellowed out by now. I can understand when he was young and he was in his prime. That was different. But now you an old man, dude. I mean, come on, man. It's over. You need to give up, man. You living off your legacy. You're still acting like that guy when he was young, thinking he was better than everybody. That stuff is done and over with, man. Show these guys respect because they busted their asses. Mick Foley busted his ass. I don't think anybody would put their body through as much as he did. You know, and he's a Hall of Famer and he deserves it because he did a lot of things for the business, just like Ric Flair did, just like the Warrior did, just like the true wrestlers like Undertaker and stuff like that. A lot of them wasn't selfish and just, oh, I'm going to look after me. And that Undertaker losing the streak goes to show just how professional the man actually is. Because any other guy would have threw a fit, but Undertaker took it for what it was worth. I know it was hard for him to do that, but that's the mentality of an old school wrestler. If he's going to go out, he's going to put somebody else over. I also want to talk about another wrestler. I'm just kind of wondering why WWE never mentioned Nelson Fraser Jr., as we know as Viscera or Mabel. I never hear any bad stories about this man. I never hear about him being on drugs or steroids or anything like that. And I just wondered, ever since the man died, they really haven't done anything in his memory. Because he was there for a long time. He was there in the 90s. He was there in the 2000s and the millennium and stuff. He was a part of Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness and all that stuff like that. You know, Men on a Mission, that's where he started. And I'm just trying to understand, like, does Vince McMahon hate the guy or something? Did they have a problem with him? Because you never hear about that stuff. You know, he walked away from wrestling. He tried to get in better shape, lose weight. And he was just a heavy guy. You know, it was bad on his heart. And it just really sucks that these guys wouldn't say pretty much anything about the man, you know, at his passing. They wouldn't have a video package or anything about him. And that's really disrespectful because I guess we'll just never know. You know, it's just WWE being WWE. But he did help make wrestling what it was back then in the 90s too. When he was in the Ministry of Darkness, he was a part of that. So the guy deserves credit and he deserves a tribute. At least do something for him. I don't even know why I'm giving this woman any kind of time out of my day. Quite frankly, I'd rather go to the doctor's office and get a shot in the ass than to have to talk about her. But on behalf of all the wrestling fans, Nancy Grace, go to hell. Seriously, man. Your show is the worst show ever. You want to go on there and you want to talk about stuff that you have no idea at all what you're talking about. Every time a wrestler dies, you always have to link it to drugs or steroids, which is bullshit because a lot of wrestlers didn't die from that. There are a lot of wrestlers that died from natural causes, that died from cancer, that died from car accidents. There are a lot of them, like Junkyard Dog. He fell asleep behind the wheel, and that's how he died. Macho Man Randy Savage had a heart attack behind the wheel. Yeah, granted, there are wrestlers that did die from drugs and steroids too, like British Bulldog and Bam Bam Bigelow and Mr. Perfect, and the list goes on. But looking at that list that you put up there, half of those guys on that list didn't even die from drugs. Didn't die from any of that. Owen Hart fell to his death. He fell in a stunt. That's what happened. He didn't die from steroids. How dumb are you, man? Like, seriously. Chris Benoit was depressed about being demoted from the Four Horsemen. Are you serious? That's what you give us? You give wrestling fans who know much more about wrestling than you ever know? You give us that bullshit excuse? You ambush wrestlers when these guys think that they're going to talk about a guy after he died, but you really just want to talk about steroids and all that other bullshit. Go to hell, Nancy Grace. Your show sucks. Nobody needs you to put your 2 cents in anything because you don't know shit about wrestling. And that's all I got to say about you. At any rate, from what I did see, WWE has a couple of new things going on with Paige being the new Divas champion. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Like, it's nice to see a new diva up there, a new champion. I love DJ because she's fine as hell. But, you know, I don't know if Paige is ready for that kind of pressure. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you throw people into a situation and they're still green, they're still young, they don't know pretty much anything about the business, or they know just a little bit. You know, sometimes it's very, you have a lot of pressure on you being the champion. Like, can you imagine being Hulk Hogan back in the day? A lot of people say stuff about him, but this guy had to carry the business by himself. Everybody was looking for Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan had a certain image to uphold, and that's very difficult to do. Now, I know I've said my things about Hulk Hogan, but it is the truth. Can you imagine having to be the same guy because the kids love Hulk Hogan and people love Hulk Hogan? He was the All-American wrestler. Can you imagine having to be that guy 24 hours a day? I don't think I could do that. You know, because sometimes you just don't feel like being happy all the time. Sometimes you're upset about something. Sometimes something's going on in your life where you can't concentrate on that. But these guys back in the day, I'm not going to say these dudes now because they broke kayfabe, but the wrestlers back in the old generation, wherever they went, they had to keep in character. And that's just the way that it was. When Undertaker went on the talk shows, like when he went on the Regis and Kathy Lee show, he had to stay in character. He couldn't be Mark Calloway. He had to be The Undertaker. When the Ultimate Warrior went on there, that was a little different because nobody can really tell the difference between the Ultimate Warrior character and Warrior himself. They was pretty much like the same guy, the same intensity. That's just how he always was. But you would always have to keep in character when you had certain characters back then. Macho Man on the Arsenio Hall show, he had to keep the kayfabe, and that can be a difficult thing to do. You know, so I give him much props on that because that's hard. We also had the return of Evolution with Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista. And I gotta say, this crowd was just really dead for that reunion because they must not know about the early 2000s when these guys was running wild back then. I am happy to see that because it's something new. You know what I'm saying? I like the Shield. You know, I've had time to look at everything that's been going on, and I like the Shield. These guys are cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to lie about that. I know I crack on the new generation a lot, but these guys have a future. That's coming from a guy that doesn't even like the new school wrestling. But I like these guys. And to see them go up against guys like Evolution, this is going to be an epic fight. And it's going to give the Shield the boost that they need, you know, because I believe that Evolution, these guys are going to put these guys over. You know, put them over strong. It's going to be one big fight back and forth, and I can't wait to see that match. Because, in my opinion, with the Shield versus these guys, it's going to be probably the best matches that all three of them, Batista, Randy Orton, and Triple H, have had in a long, long time going up against these young cats. And I hope that they keep these guys together because they have a bright future. And if we had more wrestling like that, maybe I would say something positive about the wrestling these days. TNA. I got to talk to the TNA fans who may not like what I'm about to say, but since when have I ever cared about that? It seems that Eric Young is the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, which is cool. That's cool for me. Something new. However, what a pathetic way to give the man the belt. It's obvious that all they're trying to do is capitalize on what happened with Daniel Bryan and WWE. They had a storyline building up to that. Daniel Bryan getting screwed repeatedly and repeatedly until he finally got his moment at WrestleMania. Eric Young has nothing. Eric Young had no build-up. He had no storyline. They just gave him the belt just because he looks like Daniel Bryan and people would get behind that. All they're trying to do is copy WWE. Get real, man. Get real. That's the problem with TNA. TNA doesn't have really any storylines. They don't know how to build a good feud, a good storyline that people can get behind so that when a guy gets his big moment, the fans are emotional about it because they've been watching it for months. Build up for months. You guys need to go back and watch the old shows. Go back and watch the old wrestling and see how they did things back then. Because it's ridiculous. You give him the title for no reason at all. It's ridiculous, man. Nobody's going to take Eric Young seriously as the champion because why is he the champion as far as I'm concerned? He's just carrying the title until you find somebody else to give the belt to. You should have did a much, much better job than what y'all doing. That's just ridiculous, man. Video gamers, it's time for the video game portion of my show. I have a huge list of video games that are coming out this year, and I'm going to do all video game systems so that everybody's happy across the board. Starting off with PS Vita, you have Demon Gaze, which is coming out the 22nd of this month. Party Squad, which is coming out the 29th of this month. The God of War Collection, which is coming out May 6th. You got the Borderlands 2, which is coming out May 13th. Mind Zero, which is coming out May 27th. The Sly Cooper Collection, which is also coming out May 27th. You have Hyper Dimension Neptunia PP, which is coming out June 3rd. You have X-Blaze Code Embryo, which is coming out June 24th. You have Blaze Blue Chrono Phantasma, which is coming out the same day too, June 24th. You have Lego Ninjago, which is coming out July 30th. You got Oculus Trip Undead and Undressed. That's coming out August 5th. You have, I'm trying to pronounce this one, but Disgaea, which is coming out, Disgaea 4, A Promise Revisited, is coming out August 12th. And this other one, Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair, that's coming out in September 2nd. You have Freedom Wars, which is coming out December 31st. And also you have One Piece Unlimited World Red, which is also coming out December 31st. Nintendo 3DS, we have Gardening Mama 2 Forest Friends, which is coming out April 29th. You got The Amazing Spider-Man, which is also coming out April 29th. You have The Legends of Oz Dorothy's Return, that's also coming out on the 29th. You got Kirby's Triple Deluxe coming out May 2nd. You have Mario's Golf World Tour coming out May 2nd. You have Super Smash Bros, which is coming out December 31st. Tenkai Knights Brave Battle, also December 31st, I meant to say. You have One Piece Unlimited, which is also coming out December 31st. PS3, we have The Art of Watch Dogs, which is coming out the 22nd of this month. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is coming out April 29th. You have Hakuori, The Story of Shinshugami, which is coming out May 6th. You have Bound by Flame, which is coming out May 9th. You have Minecraft, which is coming out May 16th. Wolfenstein, The New Order, which is coming out May 20th. Mugen Soul Z, which is coming out May 20th also. Drakengard 3, which is coming out May 20th. You have Watch Dogs, which is coming out May 27th. Murdered Soul Suspect, which is coming out June 6th. You have Enemy Front, which is coming out June 10th. X-Blaze Code Embryo, which is coming out June 24th. Transformers The Rise of the Darkspark, which is coming out June 24th also. Sniper Elite 3, which is coming out July 1st. Tales of Exilia 2, which is coming out July 30th. Sacred 3, which is coming out August 26th. The Evil Within, which is coming out August 26th. Dying Light, which has no release date yet. Destiny, which comes out September 9th. Mad Max doesn't have a release date. Alien Insulation, which is coming out October 7th. You have Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, which is coming out October 7th. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, which is coming out December 31st. Ryzen 3, Titan Lords, which is also coming out December 31st. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution, which is coming out December 31st. And you also have One Piece Unlimited World Red, which is also coming out December 31st. It's pretty much the same list for Xbox 360 also. PS4 is also getting The Art of Watch Dogs, and it's also getting The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Major League Baseball 14, the show, which is coming out May 6th. It's also getting Bound by Flame, which is May 9th, as I mentioned before. Wolfenstein. It's also getting Murder Soul Suspect, which is June 6th, like I said. EA Sports UFC, which is coming out June 17th. You have Transformers Rise of the Dark Spark, as I mentioned, June 24th. The Elder Scrolls Online, which is June 30th. It's also getting Sniper Elite 3, July 1st. It's also getting the new Madden 2015, which doesn't have a release date. It's getting The Evil Within. It's getting Dying Light. It's getting The Witcher 3 Witch Hunt, which has no release date. It's also getting Destiny. Drive Club, which is coming out September 30th. The Crew Muscle Edition, which is coming out September 30th. Mad Max, Topico 5, Alien Insulation, Middle Earth. It's also getting the new Batman Arkham Knight, which is coming out October 14th. The Order 1886, which is coming out December 30th. The Last of Us Remastered, which is coming out December 31st. You got Assassin's Creed Unity, which is coming out December 31st. Lord of the Fallen, December 31st. And Evolve, December 31st. PC fans, you guys are getting Dark Souls 2, the Collector's Edition, which is coming out April 25th. You're getting the Rambo video game, which is coming out April 29th. Wolfenstein, Watch Dogs, Topico 5, Wildstar, which is coming out June 3rd. You're getting Dying Light. You're also getting The Evil Within, The Crew, Mad Max, Middle Earth, Batman Arkham Knight, The Witcher 3. You got World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor, which is coming out December 30th. You're getting Evolve December 31st. And you're also getting Borderlands, the pre-sequel, which is also coming out December 31st. Nintendo Wii U, you're getting Lego The Hobbit, which is coming out the 22nd of this month. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. You're getting Mario Kart 8, which is May 30th. How to Train Your Dragon 2, which is June 10th. You're getting the Transformers game, which is Rise of the Dark Spark. Like I mentioned, you're getting Watch Dogs. Bayonetta 2, which is coming out December 31st. And Super Smash Bros. Coming out December 31st. And also the Xbox One will be getting the same amount of games that the PS4 is getting. And there are the list of new games that are coming out. A shit ton of games that I'm going to be checking out. And I hope that you guys check them out too. The anime picks of the week is Glass Fleet and Samurai 7. I'm going to watch both of these animes all the way through. And in my next show, I'll give them both grades. I did not forget about my Let's Plays. I'm currently working on Terminator 2 as we speak. I'm also working on Mega Man, Iceman's Level, which is ridiculously hard. And I'm also working on World 3 of Super Mario Bros. 3, who I'm doing that for a special friend of mine. Her name is Amber. She loves Mario things. I want to give a birthday shout out to my boy Adam down at Church Street Station. I didn't forget about your birthday. I just thought that throwing your name out here would be a much better surprise for you. So happy birthday, and I hope you enjoyed it. I also want to talk about Don Tony and Kevin Castle. I was listening to their latest show, and Don Tony threw me a shout out.
We'll see.
All right. Well, everybody have a good week. Don Tony, I'll talk to you before.
I'll email you tomorrow after I set
catch everybody next Monday.
Okay, you got it.
All right, peace.
Take care, man. All right, everybody. I got to apologize to one person in particular, and I got to shout him out. KC the Most. He's going to be doing an upcoming podcast, and he wanted me to tell everybody my setup and how I do my shows, and how could he do a show out there, what equipment does he need, what capabilities. Now, because he's not starting his show this week, I have some time to get into this, but unfortunately the audio is going to cut off in less than a minute. So to KC the Most and everybody else that are aspiring to do their own podcast and want to know our setup and how do we do it and what equipment do I use and what websites do I use and how do I set everything up, I promise you all, next Wednesday, which will be the next episode of Breakfast with Blasi.
Now, Don Tony, I'm already 7 episodes into my podcast show, but I still would like to know how you guys do your show and how you get people to listen to your show, because that's the hardest part of having a podcast, is getting listeners, getting people to subscribe to your channels. And I would like to know the sites that you use and everything that you guys do to get your show out there, so that I can have my show be successful. Because this is something I really, really enjoy doing. And I've always enjoyed getting my opinion out there, whether people didn't like it or they agreed with me. I just always like to talk about things that I want to talk about. And I've never felt more liberated. I've never felt more alive than what I feel than when I'm behind the mic talking about stuff. And I enjoy it. And I want people to enjoy my show too. And that's pretty much all I have to say on episode 7. This is your boy KC. I'll check y'all out later. Peace.